It's the Diamond K Show, sometimes controversial but always authentic. The Diamond K Show is a music insider's view into the world of business and entertainment, hosted by writer, director, and music entrepreneur, yours truly, Diamond K. Hola, people, hola. Thank you for tuning in, thank you for logging on, and thank you for listening to the Diamond K Show. Spread the word, y'all. I post new content daily at YouStreamRadio.com. Today's show is sponsored by YouAreNotTheFatherBook.com. Read the struggles I faced before and after finding out the 7-year-old boy I was raising was not my own. Digital, paperback, and audio versions are available right now at YouAreNotTheFatherBook.com. With that being said, let's get into today's show. Welcome to the Diamond K Show here on YouStreamRadio.com. Now celebrating 3 million listens and views to our shows and all that good stuff. Thank you for joining us. Today, I'm going to have a chance to talk to the OG, the Jet Life General, Mr. Marcelo. And I believe that we have him on the line. Hello, who's this?
What up? Marcelo from the ghetto, boy.
Hey, what's going on? How you doing?
It's all good. What's fine with it?
All right. Everything's good up here. I'm in Baltimore, actually. Where are you at right now?
I'm in the city. I'm in New Orleans.
Okay, that's what it is. So I definitely appreciate you taking the time to talk with us. And I want to dive right in, and I want to start from the beginning. Where did you grow up?
I grew up in the Magnolia Project.
Right. So
Louisiana.
What was it like there for people and some of my listeners that have not, that don't really know what it was like?
I mean, the Magnolia was just a wild place. It was like one of the most notorious projects in the city. So just was a lot of things going on. You know what I'm saying? It was rough. Let's just say that. It was a rough place to grow up in. But like Julie grew up there, Soldier Slim grew up there, Turk grew up there, Six Shot. A lot of people come out that project that came along in the music game.
Definitely. What are your earliest musical memories?
My earliest musical memory, I used to be crazy about Cool G rap. So that's all I used to listen to, when I was coming up. I was Cool G rap crazy.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Besides, listening to a few New Orleans acts, I was Cool G rap crazy. Cool G rap and Big Daddy Kane.
Wow.
I was on that shit heavy.
Now, those are two New York-based artists. How did you relate to them and what they were talking about?
Well, Cool G rap, it seemed like, a lot of people, it don't really matter where you're from when it comes to the music. A lot of people go through the same things and the same struggles. They just be in different places. And, I kind of touched up on that on, the new album that I got coming. It's called Bumpy Johnson. But it's a lot of New York-based type stuff, but showing them that it was the same thing was going on in New Orleans.
And it's good that you had that kind of, ability to embrace the story more so than, like you said, where they coming from. How did you get into the performing part of the business?
When I got into the music game, I think I was 11 or 12. I used to do a lot of rapping and shit at school, and then they had this guy called Devious D who was a local down in New Orleans. And I hooked up with him, and I think I dropped my first album in 94, I want to say.
Wow.
We dropped Hey P Pop in 94. That's when me and Fiend was on the same label. It was a label called Worth the Wait. Actually, the same label that me and Fiend was on, the guy Musa, who's managing my brother right now, he was actually our manager at that time.
So how did the the P-Popper song, how did that come about?
Well, the song was something that he had already had done. And I used to just go to a lot, in a project in New Orleans, we used to get a lot of DJs. And anybody who could rap could get on the mic. So I used to do a lot of rapping and DJing and shit. So he saw me as a DJ, and he was asked me to get on the song. So, we just hooked up, got in the studio. He had already had his company and everything developed because he was already an artist. And I just went in there, jumped on it, did my verse, and I actually, at that age, I wrote a verse for a kid named La Trap, too. He was 7 at the time. So I actually wrote my verse and wrote a verse for La Trap. and we dropped that, and it did real well. You know what I'm saying? So that's what really gave me the motivation. That's what got me to see my first check from the music. I was like 14 years old, and I got like a $6,000 check. I was like, uh-oh, this is it right here.
This is what I need to be doing.
Hell yeah.
Now,
Mom was with it. Mom was like, all right, you probably can do this on your spare time when you ain't going to school.
Coming from a city with such a strong independent support system, especially during the 90s. I mean, you had a lot of artists, in your area that had made a lot of noise and then went on to make big noise. But like the local scene there, how powerful was the local scene there?
The local scene here, like now they've got more into like our scene now is kind of flooded with more bounce music than anything. It's not like it's like you're not really hearing all of New Orleans music when you kind of hearing radios, hearing things on the radio. You hear a lot of bounce music, but back then it was more just whoever had some music you could almost get on the radio. Now it's a lot of politics and shit going on.
Definitely.
But the way we became independent was because we had to. Like when we was first coming around, that's what I was, we was just talking about this the other day, and I said, man, look, to me, the game is a lot easier because for me to get people to hear my music, I had to go to every hood, every city, and put posters up and shit. Like we didn't have the internet.
Right.
We had to ride. Like we did road trips. Every Friday we was leaving, we come back on the Monday, and ain't no telling where we end up. So it's a broader market, but it's a broader market with the internet. But when we was doing that shit, you really had to hustle hard. You had to be willing to move. But we really had to be independent because a lot of the major labels and shit wasn't looking at New Orleans like that. We didn't really start getting those kind of breaks until like the 2000s when Cash Money and No Limit got on. That's when we started getting those. But those dudes hadn't already built machines by the time they hadn't got on.
Right. But they built that from that, from that independent grind, like you were saying.
Yeah, well, we from the independent grind. When me and Currency used to do a lot of traveling, you know what our inspiration was? This guy, Lil Flip. Lil Flip was killing shit. Like him and I can't think of his manager name, but he was a close friend of mine also. I just can't get his name. It's on the tip of my tongue. But they were like on tour buses. They're on tour buses, and they was doing independent. You look like people I had never heard of them.
You talking about Flip out of Houston?
My brother had heard of him, but I had never heard of Lil Flip when I over the concert. He came on a tour bus, him and his CEO. So that's what we was like when we started the Tough Guy thing. We was like, we going independent. Independent, we get all our money.
How did you end up on No Limit?
Well, actually, we started this thing called Tough Guys, and it was like an independent wave that was like like coming up under Cash Money and No Limit, and we had a lot of backing from Cash Money because of the dude Dodo, who actually got killed during the process of us doing it. But Dodo was close with Master P, and he was close with Ed. So when we did a compilation album, and we flew out there. That's when I think Master P was playing for Hornets or some shit in Charlotte, and we flew out there and just gave him the album. And he was like, all right, instead of doing the independent album, let's do an album on this dude who on number 5, 6, 4, and whatever else number I was on. It just happened to be me. So like a week later, he flew me down to Cali and was like, let's get this album. So he really actually constructed that deal. All I did was the music. Right. You know what I'm saying? But once Priority got the music, it was like, okay, well, we need to sign instead of, because when we first was doing the deal, it was just going to be completely No Limit. But once we got with them and they heard the music and everything, it was like, let's do a No Limit / Tough Guy thing because we don't know what other kind of talent y'all have from behind. So actually, No Limit really just like mostly funded the album. He took care of all the production and everything for the album and all the promotion in order to get it here. Right.
So so after, I guess that was during the time, right, when they started going through some transitions. The album that you submitted to them was the Brick Living album.
Yes, sir.
How did you feel about the album? Did it come out the way that you wanted to as far as the sound?
Well, I had all control of everything that I did on the album. So the album was exactly what I wanted it to be. But like a lot of people don't know, I dropped myself from Priority Records because they didn't, like, once the album went gold, I went gold off one single. I went gold off How You Like It Be. And once the album went gold, they wanted to do another project. And I was like, why are we not doing a second single? And those kind of, I learned that kind of stuff from being around Master P, like push the album as far as you can. But they were like, well, let's just let this go since we did this. We expected it to do this. We're going to pay you off. And we'll start on the next album. So we decided to drop ourselves from there, and we did the next album independent.
Did you ever regret that?
No way. No, indeed. Like, independent was the best thing I ever did because it taught me the game. Like, copyrights, publishing, like, Master P let me see a lot of things. That's why, like, a lot of people ask me about Master P. Like, a lot of people used to see coming from the label had bad things to say about him. I never had nothing bad to say about him because he never did me nothing bad. He put me on copyrights and publishing. Like, that's the only reason I'm still in the game right now. If it wasn't for copyrights and publishing, I wouldn't be doing this. Period. Like, I'm still eating off How You Like It, Baby, and Where You At with it to this day.
And that's based. So why didn't the other artists pick up on that? Did he sit you down and say this is what you need to do, or did you just observe it and you just soaked it up on your own?
I was more of an observer. What I think happened with a lot of artists that was with No Limit, you know, when you're young, you get around a lot of money and you got your own house at 18, you got cars and trucks. With me, it was like when I got through with that album, I went back to the project. So I was trying to find out everything I could from Master P. When he moved, I moved. When he had conversations, if I could sit there and he ain't going to another room, I had my ears wide open. Because for me, it was just a hustle. So in hustling, I needed to find out every which way I could to get some money. He was wide open about having, I listened to him have conversations, conference calls, and radio conference calls. That's how I started learning about how your records get added to certain radio stations. You know what I'm saying? I learned a whole lot just by listening. But he allowed me to listen, because at any time he could have left out and said, look, y'all, move out or something like that. But, you know, I just kept my ears open, and he allowed me to do that. So I respect him to the fullest for that.
That's good. And like you said, a lot of artists that he worked with don't have the same type of feeling that you have. Some do, but not all, like you said.
Yeah, some of them, I ain't gonna say they had a feeling. They just was caught up. You know, when you caught up in things, like, I was actually caught up myself, but you got to remember, they was already getting checks when I was there. I wasn't getting no check until I got through with my album. So in the midst of me working on the album, I had money, but they had checks. So they was, you know, like when we was in the studio doing albums, doing records, like that was the reason how I got to get on the 504 board. When I was doing records, you know, when he was in there doing the 504 board, people were everywhere, you know. You just got a brand new truck, so you ride around here, you just got a brand new house, or you laying out, or you in Miami just chilling, places you ain't never been. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Me, I was in the studio at all times until I got through with that album. So anything came across there that had an open verse, I was putting the verse on it. I was actually, I could put a verse on there.
That's amazing. That and it's good that you got a hustle mentality, and it's good that you were able to make the most of that time, that, you know, just the exposure that you had.
I was just saying, for the music, it got to be a hustle. Like, you got to get, like I tell people all the time, I turn hip hop, instead of turning into a job, I turn that shit to a career. And that's just because I learned it. You know what I'm saying? It's a job when you just rapping. When you learn the business, then you making it a career. And that's a major difference.
Right. That's true. The was there any? Did Currency get any flack from, I guess, going from No Limit to working with Cash Money?
I mean, it was all a hustle, so it wasn't like our relationship with Baby and Wayne was the same when he left as when he came. It just didn't work out. It didn't fall the way we needed him to fall. You know, at that time, like I tell a lot of people, Wayne was getting in his transition of being a businessman. He was still making himself at the time we had Currency. He still had 2 more albums that he wanted to put out to be at the top of his game, which I respect. So, you know, it's kind of hard to put out artists when you still on the way up to the top of your game. Right. It's easier. It's a lot easier for him to do it with Drake and Nicki and all those kind of people because he's at the top of his game. It's easy to sit back and be a boss when you're at the top of the game. But when you're still striving to get to the top of your game, you're more concerned about yourself. Which is not being selfish. It's just that's the way you establish your company. You got to be the shit for your company to be. So like it's always been A1 with us. You know what I'm saying? I think it people kind of like, I guess people saw it on that 442 record that Currency did with him, but we still always had a good relationship with him from then because Big Man had to get that contract up to let Currency off the contract, but he did. But in his time, everything all love. But he did. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's true. Because
me and Baby go way back on, you know, on some street levels also. You know, I come up under them cats. So we all have real mad respect for each other besides music.
Right. What made what led to the series of mixtapes that you've been dropping pretty regularly?
Just like I was on a break of where one time I had a conversation with my little brother, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna kick back and I'm gonna help you with your company and just kick back on the music. I felt like I did everything that I wanted to do for it music wise. And he was like, you tripping. He was like, it ain't that time yet. I'm like, let's do some records. I mean, and from there I dropped the first mixtape, and I seen how people gravitated towards it, and I just kept going with them, and it's just been getting bigger and bigger and better, because like for me, it's like I got the same people. Like a lot of my fans tell me, man, my daddy put me on you. That's crazy for me. Like for your dad, like that's why I always say my OGs bump my old shit, my YGs bump my new shit. You know what I'm saying? Because it's crazy though. It's real crazy. So once I start getting the feedback from it, you know, I ain't have no choice but to keep giving them music. And most of the music, I just be really giving them game, telling them, you know, my music is really my life.
I mean, you know, the 48 Laws of Power. What go in a little bit to the mindset where you were at that time.
In the mindset of 48 Laws of Power, I felt like people was kind of like counting me out. Like I had just gotten to that transition of being the OG. Right. So I was like, I don't think like a lot of people really think I really could go like I used to could go. So it was like it was more or less like a point prove. It was more or less like a point I had to prove to myself that I still really had it the way I know I had it. You know what I'm saying? The 48 Laws was just something that got me through a lot of things. I read that book a lot when I was locked up, and I read it a lot when I came home, and I put a lot of people on it. And that's how I was going at it as far as getting myself back in the game. Like I was working them through magic. Just to see where it would set myself up at. The shit just ended up happening so perfect, it was a shame.
As far as the legacy that you want to leave, what is that? If you could sum it up.
I mean, as far as the legacy, it's just me being the big homie, always reaching a hand out when somebody needs it. If I can help you in any way, I'ma help. You know, it ain't no thing to me because ain't nothing you could do to stop what I'm doing. So I'm always reaching out to younger artists or older artists who've been in the game. So I just want that mark to be laid that I always had my hands out. Like, you know what I'm saying? And not for you to give me nothing, for me to grab your hand and pull you in. Because I feel like, you know, music, it's like hip-hop is going to be here. And there's a lot of young people that don't get heard. And there's a lot of older people who didn't get what they should have got out of the game. So, you know, I'm here to, like, bridge that gap, to connect the older guys with the younger guys and stuff like that. I just try to keep it going like that. Before my legacy, anybody who ever dealt with me know I keep it 100 and I don't burn no bridges. Anybody I ever dealt with, I could deal with them today.
I mean, that's a good place to be. A lot of people can't say that. What do your fans really have to look forward to from you in 2014?
Game. Like, that's what I give them with the album. Right now, I'm about to get ready to drop this Bumpy Johnson. It's like an extension of OG Love That OG. You know, they love that OG Love That OG so much they told me it should have been an album. So what I did was I'm doing OG Love That OG, the Bumpy Johnson edition. And I'm going to drop that probably next month. You know, it's going to be something for iTunes, but it's going to be like 16 records. It's going to be more like a giveaway, like 16 records for $5 for a box of cigars. But just a lot of videos and stuff like that. Like, there's just a lot of things I'm doing. This year we getting into doing the movies. You know what I'm saying? I got 2 movies that I got wrote. I'm about to start on a book. I got the merchandise coming, the OG Love That OG merchandise, big homie merchandise, T-shirts and stuff. I just got a lot going, and I'm about to start a management company. So like, it don't stop.
Definitely. I mean, and it's good that you're thinking outside of just the music, but you're thinking of how else can you hustle?
Yeah, I tend to do that because I tweeted last night that I planted a whole lot of seeds in the music business, and I watched them grow into flowers, fruits, and roses, etc. And all of them still show me love. Like, that's what I try to do, because you never know who got that. So the only reason why I'm still around is because of all the love I showed them. Young guys made sure that I stayed around. Like, the love that I showed to my little brother, he made me relevant when it was time. When I was on my way down, he made me relevant because of all the love that I showed him. And it's a lot of other artists that I showed that love to who helped keeping me relevant. They always put me on high records, and they always kept me included in things that they was doing. So that kind of keeps me motivated. So it's like when the youngsters don't count you out, can't nobody else count you out.
That's true.
They know, like, everybody know that, like, people always ask me why I call myself Mr. Marcelo from the ghetto. It's just because ghetto means gathering higher education to teach others. As soon as I learn stuff, I teach it. Like, ain't no rapper that's ever been around me that's not going to have the copyright to publishing together. It's not happening. Like, not on my watch. It's not going down like that. Like, it's because a lot of rappers just tend to be looking for the quick check, and you don't be thinking about how long you can eat off this. Like, I have never had a job. And that's because of music. And, like, I ain't the only one that could do it. If I did it, anybody could do it. I don't know what a job looked like. And that's just because I took my hustle to a point with the hip-hop, and I saw all the different ways you can eat. Like, you can't limit yourself to just thinking that you only can eat off music. And I'm seeing that with a lot of young artists now. Everybody's doing merchandise and stuff like that. Like, merchandise is a power move. Movies, a power move. Books, you got to do everything, because if you got an audience, if you can sell 1 million records, you should be able to sell 250,000 of anything you put your hands on that got your name on it. I don't care if it's socks. You should be able to put your name on anything and sell at least 250,000 of them. You just got to ride your way.
That you over here preaching over here. I got a
song on OG Love That OG called Preach Don't Sell Them too, by the way.
Yep.
You know? Y'all can download that at any time.
Yep, absolutely.
But you know, that's my thing. Like, that's my thing. I enjoy giving them game. I don't have no problem with seeing it's not a problem for me. I love playing seeds, and I ain't nowhere near finished. There's a lot of new hot hip-hop artists that I'm going to be joining again, and I'm going to have my hands on. And that's just what it is. I'm the big homie. I'm doing my big homie deeds.
Absolutely. You talked about it a lot, and definitely people can go on any of their favorite sites and download the OG Love That OG. Do you have a favorite song on that mixtape? I know it's hard to pick one.
You know what? Like, the probably the favorite song might be Preach Don't Sell Them. You know, because it was like it was really what I went through last year. You know, I lost my parents last year, and I just went through a whole lot that made me want to quit rap. So I really put it all into music, and that's what it was. Like, so my favorite song probably on there is that, and probably Toast to Success with me and Young Roddy. Because that was like some real. You know, we've been with each other when it was down, now we with each other when it's up. So we toasted to success. And I also put Trademark on a remix for the new album. So it's going to be a crazy year.
Definitely, and we definitely looking forward to that. How can people keep up with you via social media?
I mean, you can check my Instagram. I'm definitely on Instagram. That's Jet Life General, and my Twitter is Jet Life General. My Instagram is Jet Life General Cello. You dig? And I'm very active. You know, super active when it comes to my fans and stuff. Absolutely. So you can holler at me at any time. I'm there.
I really appreciate you talking with us. Anything you want to leave the listeners and your fans with before we let you go?
All I really can say is y'all go get the mixtapes from that Piff and live mixtapes. OG Love That OG. Be looking for Barbara Johnson. Be looking for the new book that's coming. You know, the life story of Mr. Marcelo. There's just a lot of things that I got coming. You know what I'm saying? And I appreciate all y'all for keeping me grounded. And I wouldn't be here without y'all. So shout out to my fans. Y'all know what it is.
Absolutely. I definitely want to thank you, Mr. Marcelo, for calling up and taking a moment to talk with us. And definitely much success to you. Much continued success, sir.
No problem, man. Anything y'all doing, anytime y'all need, man, but a phone call away.
Absolutely. Appreciate that. And we're going to go into Toast to Success right now. I can't think of no other song that we need to go to.
That's love, man. Appreciate that.
All right. Thanks, sir.
If you're listening to us on iTunes or Stitcher Radio, please take a moment to give us a 5-star rating or review. We love the feedback. If you're on YouTube, click the like button. Here at YouStreamRadio, we bring you exciting programming absolutely free of charge. Log on to YouStreamRadio.com today. Thank you for listening, y'all.